Good evening and welcome to the Daily News Roundup. I am Abigail Smythe. Coming up in tonight's newscast, woman shot and killed and her 9-year-old daughter shot and injured at wake in St. Catherine. Policeman shot and killed, 4 others injured following shooting on Ricketts Avenue. Westmoreland police capture man accused of abducting and raping schoolgirl. Science and Technology Minister Darrell Vaz highlights need to modernize and reopen post offices. Integrity Commission says Prime Minister Andrew Holness's statutory declaration not yet certified. Grandson of Emperor Haile Selassie receives key to the city of Montego Bay. In business, micro, small and medium-sized enterprises urged to make use of benefits available through the government. In the region, standoff between Gang Federation and Haitian government further derails the paralyzed country. And further overseas, groups of Russians sailed to South Korea to avoid being enlisted for Ukraine war. And in sports, Jamaica's Sunshine Girls defeat St. Vincent and Grenadines in opening game of America's World Cup qualification. And now for the news in detail. A policeman is dead and 4 others injured following a shooting at a wake on Ricketts Avenue, Kingston 13 Saturday night. The policeman has been identified as 22-year-old Constable Brian Martin, who is from Ricketts Avenue and assigned to the Halfway Tree Police Station. Reports are that about 10 p.m., Constable Martin was among a group of persons at a wake in the community when armed men approached the group and opened fire. Lawmen were summoned and Constable Martin and 4 other persons were taken to hospital, where Constable Martin died while undergoing treatment. He was reportedly shot in the face. The others, including a 10-year-old child, were admitted in stable condition. A woman was shot and killed and her 9-year-old daughter shot and injured at a wake in St. Catherine Friday night. According to the Constabulary's Corporate Communications Unit, CCU, 24-year-old Alicia Allwood, also called Poochie, of Mansfield Avenue in Spanish Town, was at a vigil in Homestead with her daughter when the incident occurred. Reports from the Spanish Town police are that the two went to use a restroom when the other mourners heard loud explosions. When the shooting subsided, they were found with gunshot wounds in a nearby yard. They were both taken to hospital, where Allwood was pronounced dead and the child admitted for treatment. Allwood was reportedly out on bail for breaches of the Firearms Act. And a man was shot and killed on a section of Norman Manley Boulevard in Negril, Westmoreland, Saturday night. The deceased has been identified as 40-year-old Nicalda Smith, a laborer of White Road, Denby, Clarendon. Smith was staying at a cottage on Norman Manley Boulevard in the resort town. Reports from the police are that Smith was standing along the roadway around 11:50 p.m. when 2 men rode up on a motorcycle. The pillion brandished a firearm and opened fire, hitting Smith all over his body. The men then escaped on the same motorcycle in the direction of the Negril town center. According to the report, Smith ran into a yard where he collapsed. The police were summoned, and on their arrival, Smith was seen lying on his back motionless in a pool of blood with gunshot wounds to the upper body. He was transported to the Savannah Lamar Public General Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. The swift action of the Westmoreland police led to the capture of a man accused of abducting, raping, and buggering a schoolgirl in Savannah Lamar, Westmoreland on October 11. The man was featured on social media with details of the accusations. He was said to have been driving a black sports utility vehicle at the time of the alleged incident. Head of the Westmoreland Police Division, Senior Superintendent SSP Wayne Josephs, confirmed the incident. The suspect was arrested on Saturday at his home in Nonpareil Road in Negril. The police report states that the 12-year-old girl was walking home about 4:30 p.m. when, on reaching the vicinity of the Savannah Lamar High School, a black SUV stopped beside her and engaged her in a conversation. The suspect then alighted from the vehicle and pushed her inside the front passenger seat and locked the door. He then drove to the Hendon Mall in the town where he sexually assaulted the child. A report was made to the police and the complainant was medically examined at the Savannah Lamar Public General Hospital and assessed by Victim Services. SSP Josephs said the vehicle that the man used to commit the offense was also found and noted that the suspect made attempts to disguise the vehicle. The accused man was previously charged in Clarendon and was out on bail. The senior superintendent said the man was to report on condition of bail at the Negril police station for a similar offense that he has been charged for and is before the court. In the meantime, SSP Josephs is appealing to students to be vigilant and walk in groups and to not engage strangers in conversations. He is also encouraging adults to look out for children as it takes a village to raise a child. SSP Josephs is lauding the Westmoreland police for their swift action in apprehending the man and taking who he describes as a dangerous culprit off the streets. And the same swift action, this time by the St. Catherine South Police, led to the arrest of 4 persons, including 2 schoolboys, on suspicion of robbery in Portmore, St. Catherine, Friday night. Reports are that about 9:20 p.m., a couple was walking along the Brayton Main Road when the 4 alighted from a motor car and allegedly robbed them of cash, cellular phones, and other items. The police were alerted and the St. Catherine South Police Quick Response Team responded and intercepted the getaway car. Phones, cash, and other items were reportedly recovered. While conducting preliminary checks, it was revealed that 2 of the alleged robbers are high school students, both said to be 15 years old. They, along with 2 adult men, remain in custody. Meanwhile, Superintendent Hopeton Nicholson has insisted that the police will continue their operations against criminality within the division and is appealing to members of the public for support in these operations. A Manchester farmer who murdered a woman and her 2 sons, including his own child, in 2014, was sentenced to 3 life sentences when he appeared in the Home Circuit Court on Friday. Mark Henry is to serve 49 years and 6 months in prison on each count before being eligible for parole. Presiding Judge Justice Lorna Shelley Williams ordered that the sentences run concurrently. The victims, Nadine Caradis and her sons, 11-year-old Russian Ellis and 16-year-old Jovan Thomas, were found with knife wounds to the neck outside their home in Ramble, Manchester on April 29, 2014. The court was told that Jovan Thomas is the child of Caradis and Henry, who was married. The 56-year-old farmer was convicted last month on 3 counts of murder following a trial in the Manchester Home Circuit Court. Henry has maintained his innocence, and the court was told by a probation officer that he expressed no remorse for the killings. It is understood that 2 persons have been detained in relation to the fraudulent sale of lands near Clifton Bernard Lodge, St. Catherine. The 2 are expected to be questioned this week. The issue of fraudulent sale of lands came to the fore earlier this month when Prime Minister Andrew Holness announced the October 6 demolition of illegal structures on the former Bernard Lodge sugar estate. Mr. Holness said a criminal gang had captured lands near Clifton and was reselling the lots. He later said he has asked the major organized crime and anti-corruption agency MOCA to conduct a probe into the sale of the lands. He added that he was also looking to expand the probe island-wide and to uncover whether political or government officials were involved in these fraudulent sales. The mother of a boy accused of bullying another at Oberlin High School says the punishment her son received was too heavy. The boy has been suspended for 7 days. In a video circulating on social media, 2 boys can be seen slapping another boy sitting in a chair. The boy did not fight back. He sat helplessly. The mother of the accused wants to set the record straight. She says the video does not provide full context. She says while she accepts that her son's act was still reprehensible and it is behavior that is not condoned at home, she believes the punishment of a 7-day suspension was far too heavy. She laments that her son is only 12 years old and is smaller in stature than the 13-year-old accuser. Meanwhile, the father of the accused boy believes the school acted reasonably in disciplining his son and commended the school for taking the matter to the police. The accused has been charged by the police with assault occasioning bodily harm and is to appear before the family court. He believes this is a lesson to his son. Meanwhile, the mother of the boy who was assaulted said her son was kicked in the chest last year by the same student and has been a victim of bullying from a gang of students at the school. However, the mother of the accused boy denies any allegations that her son is a member of a gang. Amid the rapid increase in online shopping, Minister of Science and Technology Darrell Vaz has highlighted the need to modernize and reopen post offices across Jamaica. Minister Vaz says technology has opened up significant possibilities for the inclusion of information and communications technology in postal services. He notes that post offices are important as they provide a link between the digital and the physical space, delivering products bought in the boom of e-commerce. Minister Vaz states that a consultant has been identified to assist the government in modernizing the postal services. He says, quote, "The move to transform the postal service is not just a local but a global one. New technologies are changing the way postal services are delivered to customers and we must adapt and meet these new realities," end quote. The minister has acknowledged that several post offices across Jamaica have been closed, but says he hopes to see renewed efforts to reopen as many as possible, especially in rural areas, so people can take advantage of what they have to offer. Minister Vaz was speaking on Thursday at the reopening of the Central Sorting Office on South Camp Road. Meanwhile, the Integrity Commission says Prime Minister Andrew Holness's statutory declaration outlining his incomes and assets has not been published as it is not yet certified. In a Twitter post on Sunday, the Commission said it is not in a position to certify the document and, in the circumstances, will be unable to comment any further on the issue. Meanwhile, opposition leader Mark Golding's declaration was published and has been reported on by the Sunday Gleaner. His statutory declaration revealed that Golding and his family had asset holdings worth over 117 million Jamaican dollars at the end of last year. Golding, who is an investment banker and attorney, also reported $1.3 million and 1,660 pounds in assets as at December 31 last year. They have liabilities of 1.5 million Jamaican dollars and 3,101 dollars. The Integrity Commission is tasked with enforcing Jamaica's anti-corruption laws. Under the law, the Integrity Commission is mandated to publish annually in the Jamaica Gazette the summary of the statutory declarations of the Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition. President of the Crown Council of Ethiopia and grandson of Emperor Haile Selassie, Prince Ermias Saleh Selassie, received the key to the city of Montego Bay in St. James on Saturday. It was presented to him by Mayor of Montego Bay, Councillor Leroy Williams. The prince arrived in the island on Thursday as Jamaica's special guest for National Heritage Week, being observed from October 9 to 17. The key to the city is an honor bestowed upon esteemed citizens or visitors. In this case, the key gives Selassie the freedom and pleasure to enter and leave the city of Montego Bay at will. Mayor Williams said Prince Ermias, like his grandfather, is a dear friend to the Jamaican people and is loved and admired by Jamaicans, particularly the Rastafarian community. In response, Prince Ermias thanked the government and the people of Jamaica for the honor. He says with the key, he hopes to come to Jamaica more often. In business, micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, MSMEs, are being urged to make use of benefits available through the government's Omnibus Incentive legislation, the Customs Act, and Stamp Duty Act. Customs Manager for Seaboard Warehouse Free Zone Operations at the Jamaica Customs Agency, Shellyan Houghton, says entrepreneurs within various industries need to make use of several waivers and incentives that provide attractive fiscal benefits to MSMEs. The Omnibus Incentives legislation provides varying relief in respect of customs duties and stamp duties. The Customs Act provides for the duty-free importation of a capital equipment and raw material. The manufacturing, tourism, and creative industries will benefit from a duty rate of 0% for industry-related consumer goods. Ms. Houghton says businesses in the agricultural sector also stand to benefit from a number of waivers to import equipment and machinery. In the region, a standoff between a powerful gang federation and Haiti's government is testing the power of both sides. This standoff now further derails a paralyzed country where millions of people are struggling to find fuel and water. A former police officer who leads a gang alliance known as G9 and Family has proposed his own plan for Haiti's future, even seeking seats in the cabinet. The gang is also demanding that the administration of Prime Minister Ariel Henry grant amnesty and void arrest warrants against the group's members, a demand that has so far gone unanswered. In mid-September, the gang surrounded a key fuel terminal to demand Mr. Henry's resignation and to protest the spike in petroleum prices after the Prime Minister announced that his administration could no longer afford to subsidize fuel. That move, coupled with thousands of protesters who have blocked streets in the capital of Port-au-Prince and other major cities, has caused major shortages, forcing hospitals to cut back on services, gas stations to close, and banks and grocery stores to restrict hours. A record 4.7 million people in Haiti are now facing acute hunger, including 19,000 in catastrophic famine conditions for the first time. And down in Trinidad and Tobago, the government intends to reintroduce the bail amendment bill that is proposing to restrict bail up to 120 days for repeaters of serious crimes. The bill failed to get opposition support earlier this year. The country's Attorney General, Reginald Armour, says his office has scheduled a comprehensive review and reform of the bail system and bail legislation. He says the Criminal Records Bill 2022 will govern the rehabilitation of offenders who have committed minor offenses. He also adds that there's need to ensure that the hardened criminal elements are appropriately and proportionately targeted and balanced by the need to effectively prepare those persons who have served their time to be rehabilitated for entry into society. And on the international scene, groups of Russians have sailed to South Korea to avoid being enlisted for the war in Ukraine. Most of them were refused entry at the border. They were denied approval due to insufficient documentation and unclear objective for entering South Korea. South Korean Coast Guard records show 5 boats carrying 23 people have reached the country since Russian President Vladimir Putin announced the partial mobilization of military reservists last month after having suffered military and territorial losses in Ukraine. After the defense minister said 300,000 reservists would be called up, Russian men of fighting age have scrambled to leave the country to avoid the draft, with thousands pouring into neighboring countries such as Georgia, Mongolia, and Kazakhstan, as well as places farther afield like Turkey. And in sports, Jamaica's Sunshine Girls cruised to a 74-36 win over St. Vincent and the Grenadines in their opening game of the America's World Cup qualification at the National Indoor Sports Center Sunday night. The girls came away with the biggest margin of victory on the opening day of the tournament. Meanwhile, reggae girl Khadija Shaw bagged a brace as Manchester City earned their first points of the English Women's Super League season with a commanding 4-0 victory over Leicester on Sunday. The Spanish town-born Shaw opened the scoring on 24 minutes at the Academy Stadium with a powerful header from a Lauren Hemp cross while unmarked at the far post. The 25-year-old added a second on 72 minutes, sweeping home the rebound after Alex Greenwood's penalty was saved. It was Shaw's fifth goal in all competitions this season. The home win lifted City to 8th in the 12-team table after 3 matches, while Leicester, who narrowly escaped relegation last season, are bottom of the league and pointless this season. And in rugby, Jamaica went down 48-2 to Ireland in Group C of the Rugby League World Cup at Headingley in Leeds, England, Sunday afternoon. The Reggae Warriors, the first ever Caribbean nation to play at the World Cup, got their first points in a kicked penalty from Kyron Rush just before halftime to take them in at 18-2. However, it was an onslaught from Ireland's Wolfhounds as the Jamaicans conceded 10 tries in the game. The Reggae Warriors sit at the bottom of the group. They are next in action on Saturday when they take on the Kiwis at MKM Stadium in Hull at 1:30 p.m. Jamaica time. And in Sunday's Premier League games, Chelsea beat Aston Villa 2-0. Arsenal edged Leeds 1-0. Manchester City and Newcastle drew 0-0. Meanwhile, Southampton and West Ham ended their match 1-1, while Liverpool clipped Manchester City 1-0. And that's it for the Daily News Roundup for today. I am Abigail Smythe. See you next time.